In routing, we learned about how do we configure the routes. So what we learned yesterday is about configuring routes for application. How do we configure the routes? Now, next important, we have to learn about route parameters. How do we use route parameters? As I already told you, the purpose of route parameters, you can query any content directly using parameters. Another option is you can transport value from one component to another. You can transport value from one component to another, and you can query any content directly from URL. That you can do by using route parameters. So how do we define route parameters? Actually, we have to configure route parameters. You have to configure route with parameter. How to configure route with parameter? You have a path. In the path, you have to define path name. Path name is something like details. In that, parameters are defined by using slash, and here parameters are configured by using colon, slash colon, and the parameter name. So what parameter you want? If there are multiple parameters, you have to define by using slash colon. So you need to configure multiple parameters. Suppose name. Like this, you can define parameters. Price. So we configure the parameters in the path. Component and all will be same. So component will have component name. That is how we configure the route with the parameters. How do we pass the values? So here very important is every parameter, every route parameter is mandatory. That means there is no optional. Every route parameter is mandatory. So you cannot ignore any route parameter. Every route parameter is mandatory. So that means you cannot ignore ID or name or price. If a route is expecting parameters, all the parameters you have to pass. How do we pass the parameters? So you can pass route parameters, values. You can pass values into parameters. You can pass values into parameters. How to pass value into parameter? Localhost, and it is 4200. We have details. Every parameter is separated with slash. Just slash ID value, slash name, slash price. Like this we define. That means this one will be stored under the reference of ID. So TV will be stored under the reference of name, and this will be in price. Now, so 3 points. First one, configure route parameter. Second, pass values into the parameter. Next option is how we can access the parameter and display. That means access route parameters. In order to access route parameters, you have to need a special class. So you To access route parameters, you have to use activated route. You have to use activated route class. You have to use activated route class. So by using this activated route class, you can access the route parameters. That means actually activated route will provide some methods. By using those methods, you can access the parameters. So we have to use activated route. Activated route, so we have to inject. Actually, better you say that this class is a service. Activated route is a service. Activated route service means, in the constructor, we have to inject that service. Private route, it is of what type? Activated route. Now what you can do is, by using this route, you can access. Route provides a method called param map. Param map. So that is a parameter map. So in the param map, it provides a method called snapshot. Snapshot. By using that snapshot, so you can actually param map, I will give a detail here. By using route, this route will have a snapshot. In the snapshot, it will have a parameter map. Parameter map. What is a map? Already you know. In JavaScript, map and object difference. So object type and map type. Map is a key value collection. So object is also a key value collection. What is difference is, object keys are string type, and map keys can be any type. We can have any type. So it is a map, means it will contain key and value. Key is nothing but the key is parameter name, param name, and value is parameter value. That means you can access. So by using param map, have a method called get. By using get, you can access the key ID. So you can access param map. You can use get all. Get all will return all the keys. Or if you want any specific key, that you can define by using the reference. So we can access the route parameters by using this activated route. So how to configure the route for parameters? How do we pass the parameters? And how do we access the parameters? These three stages are important. Let's see now how to implement in our application. So configuring the routes and the parameters. So here I will go into the project, and here already yesterday we added some configuration. Shopping. Okay. First we will see how the parameters will work, how to configure parameters and how to access parameters. We will see that. Then we can implement in one example. We can use the fake story API and implement on that. So meanwhile we will create one component. Okay, it is compiling. I will create one component. Suppose in the components, let's add a component here. Ng generate component details. I'm adding a details component. Okay, let's go to the app routing module. Now in the app routing module here, we have to configure the path for details. How do we define the path for details? So in this way. So now here I am defining another route path, and it is using path. Path is details /colon ID /colon some name /colon price. You can use any number of parameters. Now here I am defining a component. So component is details component. Okay. So that is configured here. Now let's put this component in the startup. So that means in our app component HTML, I will keep a link for details. I will keep a link for details, or directly we will test, because we are just testing how route parameters will work. So first, is it compiled, completed? Yeah. Let's open this now here. Details component. You see localhost. Yesterday we created wildcard routes. Wildcard routes. You see now here I am typing in the URL details and hit enter. It will get this not found. Yesterday we created this not found. So we discussed that this will be rendered when any URL requested by client is not available in the path. So details is available, but why it is showing error? Because details is expecting parameters, and all parameters are mandatory. We have to pass every parameter. So what are the parameters? /ID is 1, /name is mobile, /price is some price, and hit enter. Now details works. Detail works, but in details what we have to do? We have to collect all these parameters. So we need to collect those parameters. So let's go to details component. In details component TS file, in order to access parameters, route parameters, you need to access the route parameters, you need activated route. So we have to inject this activated route into constructor. Activated route is a member of router module. It is a router library. So what you have to do? Private route, it is of type activated route. We have to import that from the router. And from Angular router library, you have to import activated route. We have to collect the route parameters and store. For example, I am temporarily here storing the values product ID. So product ID is null. So initially it is null. Similarly, name is null and it is null. So here we have price as null and it is null. Now I want to collect the parameters and store in these references. Then on initialization, this dot product ID is equal to this dot route dot snapshot. So snapshot is a method which is a property which is used to access only specific portion of route. That means to access complete URL, we can use route. Route actually provides complete URL. We don't want complete URL. In that only path. You know already in JavaScript, you have a location object. Am I right? You have a JavaScript location object. Location object will provide host. Host is server name. Server name IP address you can access by using host. Similarly, you have location.href. It will return the complete URL. We have location.pathname, which will return only the path, not complete URL. Path means the file and its parameters. So the same concept here actually. Snapshot will get only the path. In that path, we don't want everything. We have to use param map, parameter map. This param map can get which parameter. So the parameter is ID. Remember, this should match exactly. This should match exactly with the parameter here. Parameter names case sensitive. Same. What parameter names you given, the same parameters you need to define. Now why product ID is showing error? Because initially it was null, but now it is string. So that means it should be null type or what type? String type. So all route parameters are string only. Every route parameter is a string. Even you pass a number, it will be treated as a string. You have to collect it and convert it into number. From the URL, whatever you pass, it is considered as a string. Right? So here, same I have to do for others. This dot name, this dot route dot snapshot dot param map, and get here name. Name is lowercase, right? Similarly, this dot price, this dot route dot snapshot param map dot get, and that is price. These are the route parameters. So 3 stages you have seen now. Configuring the route, passing the parameters, accessing them and using them. You can see now to display them, you have to go to details HTML. In details HTML, here we will put as some product details. And here we will put data list, data term name. Name is coming from the name parameter, and the price is coming from the price parameter. That is, price is the local property, and ID is coming from product ID. It is coming from product ID. That is product ID we configured. Now you can see it can collect them and display. Whatever parameters are defined in the URL, you can access them and use them. So suppose I am accessing only details. It's not accepting. Into that we are passing the values. Details slash, suppose 102, that is ID. So some Samsung TV slash some price, and hit enter. Those details will come. So we are passing the values and we are using those values. What is advantage is you can collect and query and display only what you want. We can query the data. That means whatever the values comes, we can collect them and use them. Here, we will see one example now, how we can pass data from one component to another component here. See, for this, we need to design one example. This is to understand how parameters are configured, just to understand how they are configured. So what we have to do, existing example only, extra, we have to add a new component. Here we added a component called details, ng generate component details. Now here go to app routing.module.ts. Here we need to make one change. This is the path we have to add. Rest of things are same. Next, we have to go to details.component.ts. In the TS, we have to access activated route and all the parameters. And next, we have to display the details. So, go to details.component.html. And here, we need to display those details. That is the basic. So we are configuring and we are displaying the route parameters. Now we will see how to implement this in an example. How to configure this in an example. Let's see. For that, what we will do is we will create a component called, let's add a new component. Yeah, ng generate component I given as categories. Categories is a component. Skip this. Okay. I am creating a component called categories. And this component must be in route. Any component you want to use in your routing, you have to add that component. I am adding path. The component is categories. And which component? So that is categories component. Okay. So this is the path defined for categories. I want this in the app component. I will put a button for this. So here I will put a button categories. So when I click on this categories, route link will be categories. That means we have new categories and I click the categories works. I want to display all categories here. I want to display the list of all categories of products. So let's go to categories component. In the categories component, in the TS file, we need to fetch all the categories and use. Now you can use the knowledge of services. Already we created a service now. So let's go to the services. We created a service called data. In data service, there is a get categories, which is returning all the categories coming from API. So this already we learned in a service concept. So what we have to do now? We have to inject the data service and use that in our categories. So Go to categories component. In the categories component, we have to inject private data, the data service. We have to inject the data service. In the data service, we have two methods, get categories, get products. So what we will do, we will create categories array. Initially it is null, or you have just defined as a string array. It is an empty array, right? Now what we need to do, we need to access all the categories and display here. Already we are using service, so we know it is using an observable, right? So what you have to do, this dot data dot get categories will use subscribe. Subscribe, read every category and apply to this dot categories is equal to whatever the category accessed. Already you know this, we learned. That means I am not using fetch anymore. I am using the traditional HTTP client, right? Now we are accessing all the categories here and we are loading that into categories. Okay, display that in the UI. In this, I am displaying an ordered list, and here I will put a heading. So categories, and I will create a list item. It should repeat ng for let item of categories, and here every category item I will put in, suppose title case, right, like this. And you can see here all the categories information is here. We have electronics, jewelry, men's clothing. These are the categories. Now what should I do is, when user clicks on that category, it should be clickable. When user clicks on the category related products list should come. We need to get the category related products list. So that means when user clicks on this category, this must be clickable. So, and when user clicks, how to get only the products that belong to that particular category? For that already there is an API. So in that API, we can filter the products based on category. Already in shopping example I showed you. You select electronics only, electronics will come. That path is there already. So this must be clickable. And when user clicks, it should go to products list. In the products list, it should display only the products that belong to this category. So that means from categories, we have to navigate to products list. So we have to create another component. What is that component? Products list. So we will create a component, ng generate component, and the component is products list. Products list is the component. Now we remember, every component you want to use in navigation, that should be kept in route. So here what you have to do, routing module, here we have to define the products list. So we need path and products list. I will give simply products. Which component products list component, it should be delivered. That means now this products actually should not display all products. It should display only the products that belong to that particular category. So this products is expecting a parameter category. That means it is expecting category name. So whenever you call these products, we have to pass a category. So that means this products is not to display all products. It is only to display the products that belong to that particular category. Then in that case, what we have to do, we have to go to the URL here. Now, as I said, this must be clickable. If that must be clickable, then we will configure this as a link. It will be configured as a link. That means the text is a link, and when this link is clicked, it should navigate. It is a router link. It should navigate to which location? It should navigate to products. The path is products. But products path is expecting, it is expecting a parameter. The parameter is nothing but category name. So as of now, if I don't pass it, you see here it is not working. Because here it will not work. I click on it, it is say not found. So when I click categories, categories list will come. And when I click on any particular category, the category is not found. Why? Because it is expecting the parameter. You have to pass slash. So the category name. Category name is dynamic. Which category they will select, we don't know. That is under this item now. That means here we have to put a dynamic expression. Here we need to access that item, which refers to the category name. So now you can see that this item contains every category name. That category name we are passing here, right? Now you can see that when I click on this here, when I click on this electronics or jewelry, then, so let's refresh. So when I click on this, then it's saying not found. What is it? Acha. One more point here is, actually you can see whenever you are defining the path, to this path, it is adding the existing path. That means already there is a path. To the path, it is accessing another path, appending. It should not do this. It should add this as the root path. So what we have to do is, just we have to put a slash before it. If you don't do that, what will happen is, it will append current path to the existing path. That will be wrong. Continuously path will be extending. So now you so go to categories and click on jewelry, then products is working. Products list is working. So I click on here men's clothing, it's working. But now what we have to do in the products list, you see the parameter is passed here. That means, so when we are accessing categories, and you can see that here, you can see it is electronics. I click on electronics, that electronics is passed. Now what we have to do, we have to collect and display only electronic products here. So we have to go to products list now. Go to the products list component. This is the products list component TS. Here we have to collect the parameter. First we will collect the category name. Category name, it is null or it is a string. Initially it is a null. We have to collect the category name from the route parameter. So what we have to do, this private, we have to use route. It is of what type? Activated route. Because we can collect the route parameter by using activated route. Now activated route, okay. So this dot category name is equal to this dot route dot snapshot dot param map dot get category. That will return the category name. Now what we have to do is we need to display only the products that belong to this category. We need to display only the products that belong to the category. So we need a products array. We need a products any type array. This should contain only the products that belong to that category. For that, actually, we have, you see, where is data service? You go see the data service here. In the services, we have data service. In the data service, we have get products. What get products is doing, it is returning only the products that belong to this. All products it is returning. But we need to filter the products which belongs to the category. For that already there is an API. You can use it, or here can you tell how to handle this? See, I am injecting another private data. It is of what type? Data service. Now this dot products. So this dot data dot get products, because it is an observable. We have to use in that subscribe. It will read all the products. It will read all the products, and it will read every product, and it will apply to this dot products is equal to, it will put all products will come. But I don't want all products. I want only the products that belongs to the category. That means now these products contain all of them. But I don't want all of them. I want to display only the products that belong to that particular category. Then how to do? What you can apply here now. Products contains all of them. But we want only the products whose data is category is matching with the category you have passed, with the category name. Actually, if you have any API, so which is expecting some data, for example, see here data set, there is no complexity. Already you can use this dot products dot filter method is there now. You can filter every product based on what X dot category, am I right? Every product category is matching with the category name, this dot category name you have passed. What it will do? Filter will return all the products whose category name is matching with the category. You can store in another reference and use it. This is a simple array method, but we don't need to work this hard. Why? Because already they have an API. Already they have an API. That means this is a general array method. By using array filter method, we can access only the products that belong to the category. But not needed. What you can do in the data service, suppose here I am writing another one, copy. I will use here get products by category. Okay, get products by category. Here it is expecting, so category name, so which is a string type, and here what we do is HTTP / I will use a binding expression / products / category slash the category name. Category name is whatever the category name you have passed. Understood? That means already they have this API which will return all the products belong to that category. Right? That means already they have that API. What is it? Fakestore API.com/products/categories/jewelry, like this. It will get only jewelry related products. Huh? What is it? Categories. It will return all categories. Categories/electronics. I think category. They have category. Category/electronics. So that is products/category/category name. So we just have to pass the category name. It will get all those products. Actually already they have that API. Now whenever you call this method products by category, let's go to the products list. Here no need of get products because get products is returning all of them. So here what we will do, this dot data dot get products by category. It is expecting category name. Category name is this dot category name. Whatever category name is defined. And you can see that this is expecting string or null. Because there we mentioned it as a string type, right? In the data service, we mentioned that as string type. So we are not mentioning this as a null type. We are mentioning as a string type. Then here also it should be same. String or null. So we are accessing the category name. In that we have to use the method subscribe and get every product and add that into this dot products is equal to the product. This time it will contain only the products that belong to that category. That means now we have to display this in the UI. Go to products list and here I will put the option products list. And what we have to do, here I will just put an order list item. This list item should repeat ng for let item of products. Products is an array and here we want to print item dot title. I want to print item title. That means whatever the products are there, the products item title will be printed here. That means I selected category. I click on jewelry, only jewelry products will come. I can just put here the parameter name. You see, here I can just put here. So category name, right? Category name I can define. So I can define the category name. What is it? Category name. So category name. I can access the category name here so that it can display that jewelry products list. So I will just put it as title case. So then jewelry products list. So I click on categories. It will get the list of all categories. I click on any category. The category related products will come. Now here, from here, I need to go back to the categories. Every time you don't need to click this nav bar. What you can do is, in the products list, I will put here an anchor. And here I say back to categories. How to take back to the categories? Same. We have to use a router link. We just use categories. right? That means slash categories, otherwise it will append to the current one. Now you can see back to categories, it will get back to categories. I click on any category, category related products will come. Now when I click on the product detail should come. When I click on any product, the product detail should come. That means its photo, its price, its rating, all the details should come. That means now when I click on this, it should get the detail of that particular product. You can get the detail of product based on ID. Based on ID, we can get the detail of that particular product. So what you have to do is, you need to make this clickable. And when user clicks it, we need to pass the ID. Already we have a details component now. We will use the details component. So what we will do is, we will go to, so here, so we will put an anchor. Here this anchor contains item, and here I will put title case. And href, not href, router link. Router link, it should navigate to details. And in the details, it should pass the current product ID. That means item.id, it should pass the current product related ID. So that means now you can see that, so this will be clickable now, and we need to pass the ID. So here, where is it? The names are where we missed it. Details is not defined with accepting the idea. So what we have to do here, we have item.title. Title. Now we need to create these clickable. When user clicks on this, the detail should come. So I click back to categories and click on men's clothing, and the details will come. I click on this, the details should come. It is showing not found because actually details in the route, details you can see in the route, app routing, yeah. Details is designed to accept only ID, it should accept. We are passing only ID. Now what we will do, go to the details. We have to go to the details, and in the details page, we have to collect only the product ID. Other details are not required. I have to collect only the product ID, and I have to filter the products that belong to that particular ID. I have to filter the products that belong to that particular ID, and I need to display the detail. So here you need another product. Product is an any type. So it is an object, any type object. Now what we have to do is, we need to go to data service again. Let's go to the data service. Here we need to create another method to get the products based on ID. So what we will do, we will write another method here, another method, and this is get product by ID. And this time it is expecting ID. It is expecting ID. So ID route parameters are string type actually, but here see, I am defining this. ID it is expecting, and we need to use the URL. You know that products slash ID, that ID related products will come. Now very important, this is not returning an array. This is not returning an array. Actually this is returning only one product. This is returning only one product. You can filter directly on the products, complete products information, right? Here you can define, this is returning only one product, so observable any type, and the data returned is any type. It is returning only one object. It is returning only one object. So it is returning only one object. And here how we can access that and use it. We have to go to the details now. In the details component, here we have to use this. We have to inject the data service. Inject the data service. So that is private data. It is of type data service. And here we need to define this dot data dot get products by ID. And it is expecting an ID. That is this dot product ID. Product ID. We have to pass that product ID. And it will use a subscribe method. And it will get the data. And it should apply the data. This dot product is equal to whatever the data it collected. That means now the product information is present inside this product. Now I need to display that. You actually see here. So here see. What is it? Some presentation we have to change. Details component, all these are not there. Na? I will just put a heading. What is it? Product details. In that we have a data list, or we will design a card style. We will create a card style div. So class is equal to card, padding 2. So that's enough. And we will keep style and width is equal to some 200 pixels. Okay. In this we will put the div class as card header, and in this we will put the title. That means the product dot title, and we will put another div, and we define the class as card body, and here we define a paragraph, the product price, product dot price, and here another paragraph. So here product dot rating dot rate, like this I define. Just these things we are configuring. Actually it gets the detail. Now we need to access actually image also. I want to display there. Then we will put an image class as card image top, and height is some 150, and SRC is coming from, SRC is a property, and we have to bind product dot image. We have to get that, and it will get that preview and display that image here. That means here we defined, suppose, a currency type applied for this, and here I am just giving span class and BI star fill, and text success like this, and it just displays that rating. Now here we need to display, see again, we need to display here as anchor back to products. Back to products. Back to products is little different. Actually products is expecting category name. That means the router link should be slash products, but products is expecting category name. Slash category name is current product dot category. That is the category name. Now you can see there is an option back to product. Back to products. I will give back to products here. Okay. Now you can see back to products. It will get back to the products. You click on any product, the product detail should come here. And you click back to products, it will get back to the products. We say back to category, get back to the categories. That means you are selecting any category, the category related products will come. You click on any product, the product detail will come. Right? So you can go back and you can get to the other products and display here. So we are using the navigation from one location to another. And here we are transporting data. Here we are transporting data from one component to another. Transporting data is important here. And for that we are using route parameters. Configuring route parameters, accessing the route parameters. Here one more requirement will be there. Another requirement is nothing but, suppose I clicked on this, then that should display in the same location. That means it should display in the same page, somewhere below or beside. I don't want in a new screen. That means actually currently route, when you click on this, it will navigate to another component and it will display details in that component. But I want to stay in the products list. In the products list, I want to display the child. In the products list, I want to display. That means here in this, here itself I want to display. Then generally we call that as child routes. We call that as child routes. Child routes are nothing but you can configure routes within component. Configure routes within component. So by using, so you can do that by using children. By using children. In the route path, we can use the child routes. What is the purpose of child route is stay in the component and get everything in that component. Currently, we are navigating from categories to products, products to details. So, but you can stay in one component and bring all there itself. That means this is one point how we can access and display. But see here, suppose I am designing like this. In the routing, app routing module, what we are configuring is in the app routing module. Already we have this products category. That means it is displaying the list of all the products. Here itself details also should come. Here itself details also should come. Then for this what we have to do is, for this path, we have to add another option. That option is children. Children is an array. An array of objects, and again it contains path. This time it will contain same, what it will be, details of same, so colon ID. What component to deliver? The component to deliver is what? The details component. That is the child path. What is the intention of this child path is, within this products, you can access this one. You can access this one. and you can display. But for that, your navigation should change a little bit. For example, now I will comment this line, /, we are commenting that line, right? We are commenting this line technically. Okay, after commenting this line, so here, this is the line we are commenting. After commenting this line, so I defined, because that is separate path, we are configuring as child path. That means now this details will be rendered inside products. Then you have to tell where to render. That means go to the products list now. Go to the products list here. Let's go to the products list component. When user clicks on this, it will get details. So, but details I will not use /. That means it is in the same path. But where to display that information? We have to allocate some place now. Where to display that? And the result of any route can be displayed by using router outlet. That means we need to define a router outlet here. It's not done actually. You see now, suppose I am selecting categories. Categories will come. I select some men's clothing. I click on this. Then it should get that display here. Right? That means we can configure in the same location, or you can define in another. But again, you need to correct your paths. You have to change this and display. I selected anything else, then it will get that and it will display that here. So that means we can configure the child routes. Configuring child route is nothing but it allows to navigate within the component. Again, you have to define for that in the routing module, you have to add children. Only 2 changes are required actually. Generally, if you are configuring the direct, that means without child route, without child, I will upload the complete example. I will upload a complete zip file for all these folders. So source code I will upload, not the notes for this entire code I will upload. Here without child, so the path will be like this. This is not with the child. Okay. Without child you configure in this way. And what we do in the path we have to define like this. In the products list what to do. In the products list here we have to add a link. So this link must be, that link must be using a /. / indicates that it will clean up the existing path and design the new path. It should continue the previous path. Child routes means we define like this now. In child route, we have to configure the path in this way. The main path contains the child. And only one option here, same router link, we have to change this to / should be removed. That's it. So if you put /, then again it will go out of it. Within that you have to use. And very important, here we have to use a router outlet. You need to use a router outlet because in that again some content need to display. So same concept, but just we are configuring children. There can be any number of child routes again. That means you can define multiple. Inside child again you can have a child. There can be nested. Right? That depends on how you need the requirement. So how to configure the routes, how to configure the route parameters, and how to configure the child routes. Children, how to handle the child routes. Now, once we are good with this, now we have an option how to restrict the routes. we have route guards, and we have a concept of lazy loading of routes. Route guards are used for preventing access. That means everybody should not access. People who have authorization, only they should able to access. That means I want user to register and log in, then only he can access my page. If he is not registering and login, then he cannot access that particular path. For that, you need lot of infrastructure. How you will, for that you need to maintain his details in database, verify from the database. We have to use cookies. I will show you how we can use cookies, because when user signs in, until he signs out, his details are maintained in cookies. So we use cookies, we use route guards, and we manage the complete authentication. So registration, login, sign out, and accessing in login. These things we have to design with our own database and our own API. That we will see in next session. Right? Tomorrow we will do that. So tomorrow we are going to learn an end-to-end example with the database server-side technology. I am not teaching any database and server-side technology, just I will give an overview. MongoDB, Node.js, how to use them in the backend and work with Angular in the front end. You can use your .NET, Java in the backend, your Oracle databases in the backend. So we will see with MongoDB how to work with it. That we'll see in next session tomorrow. Right, in tomorrow's session, we will see a complete end-to-end example with authentication, how it works. Means registration, login, and cookies, how to handle them. That means we should provide access only to the people who successfully register and login. That we have to create an end-to-end. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. Right. This entire example I will upload. You can try it. Right.